All right, so we're going to finish up subtracting fractions. This part of the lesson is more of a review of everything we've gone over so far. So you'll see a mixture of things here. So let's just jump right in with our warm-up. Now, the warm-up here gives us use any strategy to subtract these two numbers. So we have a mixed number on the left and a regular fraction on the right. First thing we have to do is find a common denominator for these two. So we have 10 and 3, and I know that sometimes finding the easiest common denominator, which is not an official math term, but something we've come up with, is just multiply them both together. So 30 is going to be our common denominator for this. And I know from experience that the factors of 3 are 3, 6, 9, and so on. And 10 is going to keep going until we get to 30. So that makes sense that 30 would be our common denominator. So we have 2 and 7/10 minus 2/3. And we're going to change both of these denominators. You have to change both. Okay, so we know 3 times 10 will give us 30. Do the same to the top, that gives us 20. Times 2 here would give us that. Excuse me, times 3. And times 3 would give me 21. So what we're going to do is we subtract 2 from nothing. So we keep our 2. And 21/30 minus 20/30 gives us 1/30 for that one. So again, just a quick review of the basics to get subtraction with our fractions. Okay, so go ahead and turn to page 265. Kids working from home, of course, pause this video. If I'm going too fast, try to do these pretty fast, like I said, but you can rewind or pause anytime you need to. So apologies for the speed, but go ahead and hit that pause button. It should work just fine. All right, so we're not going to do all of these. In fact, we're just going to jump right in here with number 1. It says, what is 5 and 4/5 minus 1 and 9/10? And show your work. Looking at the 10 here, we know that's a multiple of our smaller number, our 5. So that's going to be our common denominator right away. So let's set everything up. Again, if it's 10, we don't touch this bottom one because that one's already set to the parts we want. But this is where we've got to do a little work. 5 times 2, that gives me an 8 up here. Now we run into a problem here because our numerator here, our 8, is smaller than our 9. So we have to borrow. And we borrow 1 whole from that 5. And we know with this problem, 1 whole is worth 10/10. So we add that to our 8/10, and that makes us 18/10. 4 minus 1 is 3. 18 minus 9 is 9. So we have 3 and 9/10 is our answer. No need to simplify. That's as small as it's going to get. All right, go ahead and turn the page. I like this question, but I would like us to skip it because it presents subtraction in a different way that I don't feel is necessary for right now. So go ahead and go right to 3. Kara's bathroom floor has an area of 3 2/3 square yards. She lays down a rug that has an area of 1 1/4 square yards. What area is not covered? So the difference between these two will give us that. So we have a 4 and a 3 here. Our easiest common denominator is 12. So we're going to stick with that. For subtraction, you put your larger number up top, your smaller number in the bottom. Order does matter. And let's change both of these to a denominator of 12. So 4 times 3 gives me that. 3 times 4. That gives me that. And luckily, our numerator for our top number is bigger. So we just subtract. That's 2 and 5/12. And that is letter C. Jordan chose D is the correct answer. How did he get that answer? Looking at the problem, what I think happened was he subtracted the whole numbers and then added the numerator and denominators. So he did the subtraction right, but then he added for some reason. So No need to get into that. Just remember, this is your answer. Okay. Go to the next page. All right. So what's the value of the expression 3/5 minus 1/3? So they give us an easy one. 5 and 3 are denominators. Let's try the easiest common denominator. 5 times 3. That gives me 15. 3/5 minus 1/3. All right. So we need our parts to be the same size. So we've got to do this. And look at that. Our numerator and the top number is bigger. Just subtract these. You get 4/15, which is letter B. I'd like you to skip 5 and 6 and 7. Again, this is a review lesson, so if I'm skipping some, I feel that they're ones that aren't going to help us out too much. 7 is fine. It's just a great amount of steps that we might want to skip. And 8. Find the difference between 1 2/5 and 9/10. So 10 is a multiple of 5, so that's our denominator. So we got 1 2/5 minus 9/10. So we're going to keep our tenths, but we are going to have to change our fifths here. So that gives me 1 4/10, and we're taking away 9/10. We can't do that because there's not enough tenths here. So we take that, 1 whole is 10/10, creating 14/10. 14 minus 9 is 5. It gives 5/10. Now, some of you know how to simplify. So we know 5 can divide into both 5 and 10, and we know that is 1/2. All right. And that's it for knowing all you need to know for subtracting fractions. So in fact, we'll just use some IXL for practice today with doing more equivalent fractions. 70% is for completing the assignment, 100% for a house point. Just get a hold of me if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to help.